the time.
Forever? Tangent. Old.
Halt.
Hashtag always MGM.
You are approaching the unloading
Everybody
area.
calm down. AK haters.
But what if it could?
Behold, the
Disney
majesty of the
breeze.
Sistine Ceiling.
For the kids.
A salute to all theme parks, but mostly Walt Disney World.
What a cute ending.
Aloha and
Don't Dillo it.
This is Theme Park Thursday with Dillo's Diz. She is Jen.
Hello.
And I am Frank, and we are here at DillosDizResorts.com for this April 17th, 2025 podcast episode. But spoiler alert, it is March 27th, 2025. We just finished recording or streaming, whatever you want to say, Theme Park Thursday live over on our YouTube channel.
And we were over there getting all fired up and people in the chat already over here. Our lovely guests at DillosDizResort.com are talking about how fired up we were.
Yeah, I mean, we had three topics or subjects, which is what we do when we do a Theme Park Thursday live over on our YouTube channel. And the three topics or subject was about the update to Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. It was about the Little Mermaid musical adventure show dropping, and it was about the 50% discount for the kids. Now, it sounds like all good things that are happening at the Disney parks and Walt Disney World, especially this summer. And yet, Jen and I were able to locate things that fired us up and triggered us in a way that was not appropriate probably for a live stream.
We kept it clean. It's fine. And I see Jeffer saying hashtag give Buddy a chance. I will not.
No. I'm boycotting the ride for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But we are here anyway on this podcast episode to talk about Jellyrolls. Jellyrolls is scheduled to close, and we believe it is still happening in 2 days' time, even though it's 3 weeks out. It's scheduled to close on April the 19th, 2025. And we did a chat episode in March where we talked about spending 24 hours on Disney property, where the central focus of that visit was to go to Jellyrolls one last time.
Mm-hmm.
We said we were going to pause that portion of the conversation to kind of expound upon Jellyrolls in a greater way. That was my New York accent.
I was
coming
like,
out
ooh.
right there. It is only 9:08.
Right away.
Right away. But that's what I get for saying things that I was not planning to say. Expound on Jellyrolls in a greater way here before it's closing on the Disney's Boardwalk, 29 seasons worth. And that's what we're here for the next 45 minutes to an hour or so.
Yeah. Do you recall your first trip to Jellyrolls?
Well, this is... I'm not sure. I know what my first memory of Jellyrolls is. And I think I don't know if I posted it on LinkedIn or something where I said like circa 96, 97, right? Because those are the 2 summers that are most vivid as a cast member. And that's just, I wasn't as much of a cast member in my final 2 years there. I was a little more seasonal, a little more part-time than I was those first 2 years. And so I had to look up, right? And really the first part was, okay, Boardwalk didn't open until July 1, 1996. So I don't think my first visit was that summer. It could have been. I remember it as, and this is probably a lot of revisionist history, that I think it was someone's birthday. I would guess it was a fellow cast member's 21st birthday. I believe it to be someone who used to work very closely with Buzz, especially during parades. And I've told this story, I think, before, where there was one particular parade where I remember that it was very windy. And usually, like, if it was over 20 mile per hour gusts, Woody and Buzz would not go up onto the float for the parade. And on this particular day, I think it was like 19.6 or so. It was like something like just low. So the supervisors are like giving us the option. And And Woody was like, no way. I'm like going off it's too windy
Right.
to go on top of the float. And Buzz was like, I'm going up on the float. So then
Mhm.
Woody had to be like, I'm going up on the float too. And
Same.
I'm totally fine. I'm totally ready. I never said no. Let's be clear. In
Right.
my head, I was going, I'm not going up there.
You
I
as you
mean,
were
me or
advising
Woody,
Woody, right, you were
and
advising Woody of
if
what to
I was
do.
Woody
Right.
to myself,
Correct.
I don't know what Woody was saying at all. I think he was saying nothing because he doesn't talk.
Mm,
And
mhm, mhm,
so Buzz went up and then Woody went up and everything was fine.
mhm,
But regardless, this cast member who worked very closely with Buzz, especially on that particular day where it was very windy, I believe it was that cast member's birthday.
mhm,
And so that is what I remember. And we did an interview with Scotty Kilwine, who is still at Jellyrolls to this day,
mhm.
in 2020, where I said my first memory was someone requested on the napkin. They wrote the napkin, they put in the request, and requested Bohemian Rhapsody. But someone also must have requested the Beatles' A Day in a Life.
Mm,
And this player in particular, this predates Scotty because
yeah.
it's late 90s, went from the beginning of Bohemian Rhapsody, went into the interlude in the middle, and transitioned from Bohemian Rhapsody into the interlude of A Day in the Life, where do like then went
Mhm.
into A Day in a, and that was it. That was all I needed in life, because who knew what a mashup was back then?
Right.
Not me. I didn't realize that we would say mashup today. I didn't realize when like DJs would mix one song into the other, like all that stuff. What do I know?
Sure.
But
Yeah, at Sam Goody, you just played the CDs and one
just
song at a
that's
time.
it. We just played Hootie and the Blowfish every hour at 5 o'clock. Like, just what was it? Um, and so that was it for me, right? Just seeing that live performance,
Yeah,
seeing the place go bonkers, the sing along. But that in particular, I was like, oh, now I love this place. I was
right.
like, oh, these guys can do this. What?
Yeah, yeah.
And that is what hooked me. So I am more apt to say that was 97, but
Mhm.
I'm not 100%
Was
sure.
it during the swing dancing time?
You
All the
know,
same?
I do want to get into this a little bit later, but our Orlando was like this, the mecca of
Uh-huh.
or swing dancing
Yeah.
on the eastern coast for uh so right, I probably around that time, and in some ways it feels like it might have been a little bit before that, but um yeah, but it wasn't like, oh, let's go over to Atlantic Dance.
Mhm.
It was, let's go to Jellyrolls.
Right. Right, yeah. Because I was thinking of that, like, when you were going to Atlantic Dance for the swing dancing,
Mhm.
sneaking people in, maybe, I don't
Maybe
know.
they were underage, sure.
It's fine with braces, it doesn't matter. Um, do we think that, like, was that happening where you were kinda going to ESPN and getting some food and going over to Atlantic Dance and swing dancing and going to Jelly Rolls? Like, were all the things happening at the same time?
Yes, probably. I don't remember going, of all the swing clubs that there were several places to swing dance in
Mhm,
Orlando
mhm,
from 97 to late 98, I guess.
yeah,
Uh just I think on occasion 5 nights a week I was in a different club
mhm,
or dance locations with that had swing music, live swing music, a swing band, swing dancing, whatever, as if I could do more than 4 moves. I couldn't.
mhm,
But yet I like dressing up that way. I put
of
on my
course.
favorite, the
Yeah,
hat and the vest and Swingers was a big movie,
mhm,
so like I was like my favorite movie for a while. So obviously all of it was cool.
yeah.
And the the swing, Chandler Bing's favorite band, the Swing
Swing
Kings,
Kings, yeah.
talked
Oh
about
god, yeah.
Swingerhead with Michael Andrew, like who I think became like a big Vegas act and things like
Mm,
that. Was they were very big in Orlando.
yeah.
But there's a reason why as much as we love Jelly Rolls, and when we talk about that last night, we're gonna,
Mhm,
what we did in March, like, was a perfect Jelly Rolls night. And
mhm,
but there is also this slow, first it was ESPN going away, and then the grill is gone, and like
Mhm.
there's just things that filled out the boardwalk for us over the last
Yeah.
almost 30 years.
Mhm.
But Atlantic Dance
Yeah.
started annoying me very early on by not doing as much swing dance nights.
Yeah.
Whether they weren't drawing the people quick enough or whatever it was,
Mhm.
it wasn't happening there the same way it was happening in other clubs in
Yeah.
Central Florida at the time.
Yeah, I'm just laughing because as you were talking earlier and you're like, and there were these clubs, and I'm laughing thinking like of Frank in a club. Everyone's like, "What? Frank was in clubs in Orlando?" No, the swing clubs. He was going swing dancing at all various places.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's true though that that whole boardwalk is what's funny is coming across the recent video of the beach club and seeing no boardwalk
Yeah.
in the video.
Yes.
And I do, kind of remember that time. And I remember I wasn't as angry as Buddy the Bot. That'll be in Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. But I was a little like, oh, you're going to put a boardwalk hotel up there? It's going to block the view of hashtag always MGM. What are you doing? But obviously came to love the boardwalk area. And we were
Mhm.
at ESPN all the time. The brewery was always a good spot. You had I mean, I wasn't at Atlantic Dance that often. I was probably at Jellyrolls more than I was at
Mhm.
Atlantic Dance. Um, but like you just had this area that felt like a boardwalk area. And being from the Northeast, we know what those are like. And so, you had that vibe there where there still are here and there, and sometimes you find them, but you find kind of streetmosphere on the
Yeah.
boardwalk, or you find magicians or
Yeah.
whatever. There were things going on all the time where there's just not now. And it's kind of weird to walk around there. And I mean, I absolutely love walking around there at night still, but it is still a little bit weird. It's just quieter now
Yeah.
overall.
I mean, when we stayed there in August of 2024, that was like it was odd
Yeah.
in some ways. I think we did like an Insta live, and it was just like it's only 9:30. I think what's happening.
Right.
But I remember being on a friendship boat going from beach club to studios, where they would say in 1990, scheduled to open, and I think they said back then 1995 is how I
Yeah.
feel, even though it opened in 96. But
Mhm.
you could you saw them when the land was leveled, and you saw when the walls went up, and
Yeah.
those were you saw the progress. We saw the progress from
Yeah.
our visits in the beach club, and
Yeah.
that was really cool. Uh, and that was what was I think what was surprising about the boardwalk too is oh cool, ESPN club is going to open there. You can watch sports, and and you like who doesn't like a sports bar.
Mhm.
So what came out, then the swing dance scene hit, and then Atlantic Dance became like, oh,
Mhm.
cool. And then you visit Jelly Rolls, and you're
Yeah.
like, what? There's everything happening. This
Yeah.
is just a great place to be, and
Yeah.
that is where our nostalgia hits. That is
Mhm.
where we emotionally struggle with these changes.
Yeah.
Is that there was such a build
Mhm.
over that time, just even for our own experiences,
Yeah.
that then became part for years
Mhm.
of Disney experiences.
Yeah.
But
I was trying to think about my first trip, which I think was with Mama and Papa Dillo,
mhm,
probably once I turned 21.
yeah.
I really miss the popcorn that used to be put out on all the
Mm.
tables at Jellyrolls, and I'm wondering when that went away. Was that a 2020 thing, or was that before that they started cutting back
Right.
and not putting
Yeah.
there used to be baskets of popcorn, and they used to have the popcorn where you could go and refill the baskets of
Oh,
popcorn. It
yeah. Oh, yeah.
was fantastic
Mhm.
to sit there and eat popcorn and listen to the music. Um, but I do recall coming home from that trip with Mama and Papa Dillo, and I had walking pneumonia. So sometimes there is a connection there of like, huh, was it because I was in a crowded piano bar? Is that where I got walking pneumonia? But there's like that connection in my memory bank. But like, for me, I, I, addicted to Jelly Rolls. I loved it so much. I went enough times when I was living down there. I That was where I went before I moved back. I got everyone I worked with to go to Jelly Rolls, and we all hung out for that night. And that's like where I said goodbye to all the people I worked with, and
Mhm.
like, I don't know when I'll see you guys again, and like all that, Mr. Snidillo included. All right, good to, all right, I'll
Nice to
see you
meet you,
around.
sir.
Like, so see you around, moving back to New York. So, and so like all of these memories, like come flooding through when you start thinking about like, oh my God, how is it not going to be there anymore? And because it played such like, it is a big part of our nostalgia. It is a place we love to go. It is our type of vibe to be in. Mama and Papa Dillo loved it just as much as we did. And so it was also crazy then to come into 2020 and be able to have Scotty on the podcast and talk to him like, what is this life right now? Because I can't believe I'm talking to him when I have been watching him for years at this point.
Well, right, you turned 21 in 2003, which basically lines up with his first year at Jellyrolls. It's
Yeah.
basically I think it's either '02 or '03 that he started
Mhm.
there, and
Interesting.
so that, like, lines up
Yeah.
entirely with your entire your
Yeah.
entire time going to Jellyrolls.
Right. I mean, Scotty, if you're listening, I don't know how old you are, Scotty. I'm assuming we're about the same age though. Like there's maybe there's a couple of years, but yeah, you know, I think about that too of like there is a photo I have from back in the day.
Mhm.
And you know, you could see me and you can see Scotty and we're babies in the picture. But
Well, and Scotty, last month, this being April, then
uh-huh.
being March, posted like on like a Facebook event for the last night at Jelly Rolls, and there's a
Mhm.
picture of him where he looks exactly like he does in that picture with you.
Oh yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, whoa,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
which
And,
is
and at the same time to me, like, Scotty hasn't really changed, but, like,
yeah.
we're we're just when you look back at pictures, you see a little bit of a difference with all of us.
Well, yeah, funny that you
Yeah.
say. If Scotty, if you're listening, he drops a forever on stage.
All
Forever.
right. Do we need to get into it? Do we have to talk about this? We have to talk about that. Oh my God. I can't.
But yeah, I think just to sum up this portion
Yeah.
of it, I think it's hard, right? Especially that we post pandemic
Mhm.
only visited one time before this final time, and just
Yeah.
things just when you have the kids, it's harder to go to the
Yeah.
over 21 and over place.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I can't really put together in my old age is how many times was it before that? How many times did I go when I was a cast member?
Mhm.
Especially like they carried over that, one night a week, no cover thing for cast
Mhm.
members, which you went to Pleasure Island one night for cast members, you went
Mhm.
to Jelly Rolls one night for cast members, and then the
Yeah.
rest of the week I'm freaking swing dancing. What is with my life?
What a life you led in the 90s.
What a life Central Florida in 1997
What an
was.
extrovert you are.
But yeah, I can't put together, and especially that, when we would visit, it'd be like, no, I want to go to Jelly Rolls. I want to go to ESPN Club. I will,
Yeah.
and so I can't put together how many times over the years, how often I went. It all because and we're gonna say it here with this final night on
Mhm.
March 16th into the 17th, that it never really changed in the best
Mhm.
way possible, and we don't like the change, maybe besides the popcorn,
Yeah.
but the vibe and the experience,
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that's why I can't separate them from each other is because
Yeah.
they all feel like one awesome time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Because I also know that I would go, was there only one event and it feels like 2? I don't know. One of the events I attended in Disney, but when I was with the airline, we went to the, yacht club
Mhm.
for it, and so we were staying there, and then we walked over, and I had gotten to Atlantic Dance for probably the first time in forever, and I was like, "What, this place?" And that's where, like, people were hanging out, and I was talking to Val about that as we were walking over that night, that I wasn't really sure what was going on at Atlantic Dance at this point, which was funny because then when we walked around, it was like, "Oh, look at all these people going into Atlantic Dance. I haven't seen this in so long." But I do know that, like, the conferences in the Swan and Dolphin, the conferences at Yacht and Beach, and the Boardwalk, like,
Yeah,
you probably do get the crowd then to come over because it's a great location for a conference because you do have all these spots that you can
oh yeah,
hang out at afterwards.
yeah,
And so, I was also in Jellyrolls with some of the people from there. Like, to think about who I have been in Jellyrolls with is like you have
right,
like all the stages of my life since I was 21. It's crazy.
yeah. No, and that's and I think that's what's hard about this is that yeah, it does. We talk about our 90s nostalgia a
Mhm,
lot.
mhm,
We talk about things and and we're struggling similarly with Muppet Vision, right?
mhm,
But you have something like the Great Movie Ride, which from the 90s until it closed, we were like, can you put a little work into the attraction? Can you just put a little
mhm,
love into it? We were talking about this update with Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin,
mhm.
where it's nice that they're putting in the love
Yeah,
27, 26 years later.
yeah,
And Great Movie Ride, you couldn't do it. You changed the montage at the end, which just annoyed us.
yeah,
But you couldn't put in the love to the animatronics and some of just the effects and things like that,
yeah.
where Jelly Rolls just didn't, it just it was exactly what it needed to be all the
Mhm.
time, never felt outdated,
Yeah, no.
never, and that's part of it too, timeless in a way. Like why it frustrated me that ESPN Club closed. It's like it's timeless. Like
Mhm.
and you're not even moving it to Disney Springs. What are you doing?
Right,
Doesn't everybody watch sports? What's happening?
right, right.
Cake bake shop, get out of here.
Our angry eyes are
I don't.
going in.
This is our love fest for Jelly Rolls. I'm trying not to bring me angry.
And it's also but that's where the anger comes from, is our love for the Jelly Rolls and for Boardwalk overall, and we're not handling the changes as well as we should be. Okay, should we talk about our night?
Yes. Now, I just do you want to preface anything, or you want to jump right into like getting there?
I mean, the only thing I would preface is
Mhm.
and I shouted Val, who's here in the chat, out last month on our recap of the 24 hours, but I wanna do it again because also walking away from this night was like, "Oh, man, I am so happy that this happened, and I am so happy that Val even brought this up," because I knew Jelly Rolls was closing. I was super sad about it, but I was also like, "Great, I guess I've gone my last time at Jelly Rolls, like, that's crazy, I can't believe," and I was kind of, like, trying to be like, "Well, I guess that was it, and I have to just accept it, and it'll be fine, and maybe they'll move it somewhere, and it'll all work out," or whatever, and when Val mentions this, it's like, "Oh, okay," and then leaving Jelly Rolls that night is like, "Yeah, no, this was awesome, and I'm so happy that we got to go one last time," and, like, yeah, so that would be my preface. Do you want to preface with anything?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was trying to find a way in through
Yeah,
a spring training trip I took in
yeah,
March that
mhm,
was originally scheduled with Papadillo and then was not, which then benefited a little bit more
mhm,
in terms of timing.
mhm,
And we were there with Theme Park Rob and Lewis and Val. But the lead in from walking from the yacht club
mhm,
around while the fireworks were going off at Epcot, while it had just finished raining, so everything was like glistened perfectly. The sky was the clouds were parting in the sky a certain way with that kind of Disney lighting and the smoke of the fireworks. They go over the bridge by the Swan and Dolphin. It was like, oh, we're leading into the perfect night. Now we had a lot of anxiety that Scotty wasn't going to be there. We weren't
yeah,
sure, but
yeah,
that lead in was kind of like, oh, it was almost like we were stepping back in time a little bit,
yeah,
going over that bridge just
mhm.
because like the smoke is clearing and there's fireworks and there's a glistening thing. Like, what is this environment being created walking over towards the boardwalk?
Yeah.
And I do think it's the only time ever I've walked that way into Jelly Rolls
Oh,
from
coming
that
around that
direction.
side.
I think every
Mhm.
time I've come down the stairs from the parking lot.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's funny. Um, yeah, and, when we arrived, we saw the line out the door, and it was a Sunday night, and I immediately went, "Oh,
Mhm.
it's, like, crowded." Like, I wasn't ready for that, and it was. But in fairness, it was already It was like 9:30
Yeah, it was
probably by the time
9:30,
we
yeah.
got over there or so.
Mhm,
And so that's to be expected, but for some reason, I was still, like, had it in my head, like, "Ah, it won't be too bad yet." It'll,
yeah.
mm, and again, I mentioned this on the recap, theme park Rob, Lewis, and Val had never been before. So I also felt like, I want this night to go perfectly for them. Like, part of that is having a table on the floor, having your own set of napkins to make it. You have, the waitress coming over, all the things.
Mhm.
And we walked in and then we're standing immediately in the back. And I was like, no, no, we can't stand this whole time. This isn't it. This isn't the experience. And then we got those like that stool seating, which is where we stayed the whole night.
Yeah.
And that was fine. I do still think that I took some time to like just accept that this is where you're gonna be, and it's gonna be okay, and we're
Mhm,
not gonna be at the table. Um, but it was still nice to be there, but it was very crowded. We think it was a cast member night.
mhm.
Judging by some of the people there, we can almost guarantee it was a cast member night.
Do we talk about that now, or do
I
we?
mean, should we talk about it? Or, I mean, we could always cut it out if we
I mean,
put it on the
this is
podcast.
how I have explained it,
Yeah.
to a couple of people. I said, basically, uh, maybe like in Wreck-It Ralph 2 or something, I don't know, but like, all the Disney princesses, escaped off of
Oh
the
my god.
Fantasmic finale Steamboat Willie ship and took the path over to Jellyrolls for the night.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty much how it happened.
Oh, welcome in, Belle, Snow White, Merida, Ariel. We see you all. Yeah, but anyway, so it was very crowded, which also I do recall seeing some lanyards, which is the big signal for conference to me. So
Mhm,
there was
mhm.
some mix of a conference going on as well. Now you're at a bar, so it's hit or miss of what the experience is going to be
Mhm.
because there's a lot of people, drinks are flowing, music is playing, you never know. Here's something Scotty is awesome at, and that is involving the crowd. And
Mhm.
he's always been that way. There was always these songs or games that he would sometimes have people come up on stage or whatever it was, but he finds a way to connect to the audience. There was someone there, was his name Ryan,
Yeah.
celebrating his 21st birthday.
Mhm.
So he had him doing things and looking for volunteers like theme park Rob to, just involve, which
Yeah.
I think helped with the noise level at times
Yeah.
because then everyone's watching and everyone's focused, and then everyone starts to sing along with the songs. Sometimes there were lulls where they were singing this awesome song, but it was so loud because people were talking.
Yeah.
And personally, I want to be like, shut up. People are playing and it's awesome. Appreciate what's happening in front of you. But
Yeah.
um, so sometimes like the volume in there was extra loud in a way that was almost distracting to the music happening. But you can't, that's not something like that can be controlled because you just never know the type of crowd you're going to get. But I do feel like the later it went, you did get more people singing along. Like by
Yeah.
those last 2 hours or so, I would say way more people were singing along instead of like having their own conversations.
Yeah, I think, just to talk about the 21st birthday,
Mhm.
the other thing this guy does a real good improv trick that I love a lot is that he reincorporates, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
he kept coming back to it.
Yes.
And the same thing with the bachelorette party.
Yes.
He would come back to it.
Yep. Yep.
And when you have those kind of central points of reference,
Yes.
like a stand-up comic. They're gonna
Mhm.
if they hit on something that somebody's responding and the audience they know that they can go back and
Mhm.
the audience will be like, "Oh, we're doing this again? Great."
Yeah.
And it's a great way to ebb and flow, engage the crowd and
Yeah.
where everyone's at and can the audience be pulled back in? And I think that especially, I mean, I don't even know. There's part of me always like, is it because we're sitting on the stools in the back that the
Mhm.
sound is different? Is it like
Right.
that down on the floor? And I mean, we both went to the restaurant. We know it was that loud everywhere,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it was the loudest. I mean, I'm not saying that in my old man way.
I
It was the
know.
loudest I've ever experienced it in there.
Yeah, but to me, I do feel like it was more crowd loud talking. Like,
Yeah.
to me, that was the noise. I even saw them adjusting, you could see them adjusting the volume for the pianos and the
Oh,
mics
yeah.
and stuff based on, and I'm like, "Can everyone stop talking? You're missing it. You're missing the brilliance happening in front of you." Um, okay, so one of the other piano players, theme park Rob, was saying Michael, and Val is saying when Michael did Phantom of the Opera, I was like,
Oh.
"Where are we? What is happening?" Yes.
Yeah, and that was, like, a great balance, right? Just in general, overall, that you gotta get the sing-along
Yeah.
songs, which we can get into bit by bit,
Mhm.
but everyone has their there was a lot of, new songs that I didn't really know anymore, but everyone knew, and that was great. And there was and a lot of Broadway, and a lot of people singing along to the Broadway. I mean, we heard Phantom,
Mhm.
we heard Wicked,
Yep.
and Dancing Through Life,
Yep.
which everyone, I mean, if it's a cast member night, Dancing Through Life is going to be a big hit. Uh,
Yeah.
and and later on, when you get the King song from Hamilton,
Mhm. I mean,
da 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 da.
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. But and that has always been one to me, one of the, like, standout things about Jelly Rolls is there are a lot of piano bars, there are a lot of dueling piano places. Not that any of them are bad, but you
Mhm.
will have the typical sing-along songs. You'll have some Sweet Caroline, you'll have
Yep.
some Garth Brooks, you'll have
Yep.
you get all the sing-along songs. Jelly Rolls has always been able to play almost everything. Every once in a while, I would see them go, we really don't know this one. It's rare. I remember them singing, 90s rap songs in the
Mhm.
early 2000s.
Oh, yeah.
They would be to go in now and hear, I know the songs because I'm on the TikTok. So, I'm hearing TikTok songs be
Yeah.
played, and it's like, "Oh, this is like the new," but who knows? The song could be a year or 2 old. I have no idea, but I'm just learning it because of TikTok. But, like, they're playing new things and old things, and I think I said to you in theme park, Rob, that, one of the many things that makes me sad about Jelly Rolls going away is that one, it's still able to draw a crowd of all ages.
Mhm.
It is not an old person bar. It's not a young everyone can go find songs they like, and even if they don't know songs, still have a good time.
Mhm.
But it also, to me, because I know some of the people in that room was born probably, in when I graduated high school or whatever. Oh, Scotty, Spencer, Michael, Wyatt. You were
Yeah.
all awesome. Thanks, theme
All's
park
awesome.
Rob.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, that a lot of them were born, after I graduated high school. That it's also cool to me to see the youngins singing really old songs, and
Yep.
maybe some of them know them because I know you're a cast member and you're probably here often, and maybe you're hearing these songs for the first time, maybe not, but it's a great way to introduce older songs to a younger audience and while still keeping them engaged with the newer stuff too. It's like such a great mix all the time.
And, and to, just to add, going
Yeah.
away on Disney property where they can bust out a Disney medley, and
Mhm.
if you're there on a cast member night, everyone's going in,
Yeah.
but also the theme park visitors who are there who
Mhm.
recognize the songs now. I
Yep.
mean, you got to throw in one little spark, which is it will get the older set in.
Yeah.
There's just ways that you can thread the needle through the groups,
Yeah.
and I think it varies, right? It varies just a little bit here and there every night. But if you got a cast member heavy night, you know what they're listening to, and you know what they're partying to,
Yeah.
and you know that you can get a big uh audience response and participation with a Disney medley on that kind of night. Now they've done it on other nights when we've been there
Yeah.
without the cast member element, and you're like, yay, I'm visiting Disney, of course
Yeah.
I want to sing along to these songs.
Yeah. So, uh, when we decided to make a request, I was like, now that we know Scotty is working and he's here,
Mhm,
I'm not leaving here until I hear Rainbow Connection.
mhm.
Because Scotty, for as long as I've been going to Jellyrolls, has been sitting on top of his piano and in the Kermit voice doing Rainbow Connection. And I'm like, I'm not leaving until this is happening. So we wrote the request on a napkin. Maybe throw in, maybe if you want to play a little Billy Joel too, because you know the Long Islanders are here, whatever. And I put that it was like from us.
Yeah.
And not that I needed to request Billy Joel, because plenty was played, and I was so happy about that as
Wait,
well.
the latest Billy Joel, which was
Right?
awesome,
Yeah.
right? I think Michael did the,
Yeah.
Turn the Lights Back On, which was
Mhm.
great. Yeah.
Yes. And Val saying she was not expecting the voice or stick. It's fantastic. It literally has been doing it for as long as I've been going there. Now, what we didn't expect, but going back to what Scotty does, is involving the crowd. So he was like, gather round. He's going to sing a song, which seemed like something he does every week because everyone was like, oh, yep, this is the time we sit in front of the stage. And I'm like,
Mhm.
what's this new thing that the kids are doing? And then he goes, where's Jed? And I was like, that's not me. That's not me. He doesn't mean me. Don't think he means you. That's gonna be embarrassing if you stand up and think that's you.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
he's like, Jen, where's Jen? And Frank. And I was like, well, now that you said both of our names, I guess you really do mean us. And so we also got up, go and Scotty, like, I'm so glad it was so hot in there because I know I just had to be just red completely. Because he's like, Jen's here, everybody. Make
Alright.
room for Jen. Jen has to go in the middle. It's like, hey, look, Jen's here. Can you believe it? I never thought it would happen. I'm like, what is going on right now?
Now, whether I don't know if you're gonna post this beforehand or after this episode, but there's video of you submitting the napkin,
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. Hey, excuse me, here you go.
and then there is, the video of you getting up and going, but
Mhm.
also, I think Theme Park Rob caught
Yeah.
me going, "What? You called me? Oh, no."
And caught you basically running up, like, yay, me too.
Not since I've run to the March of the Stormtroopers
Yeah.
down Hollywood Boulevard.
It was the same run. So here we are with all the 20-year-olds in the front of the stage, having now hi, having the front row view for
With the
my
runaway
final
princesses.
all us and the princesses, friends of the princesses hanging out. With Scotty doing Rainbow Connection right in front of us. Top notch. Loved every second of it. That was amazing. I can't believe he called us down. Great. We stand up and turn, and Scotty into the mic goes, forever? What, Scotty? What did
What
you
is
just do? What? And I mean, I was dying, and I was like, I can't believe that just happened. Thankful for our friends who got it on video because I was like, who's gonna believe that this just happened? I'm gonna need to watch this back to believe that it happened. It was the cherry on top of the Rainbow Connection cake. That's what I wanted to
There
say.
you go.
Yeah.
No, and again, that's the right bringing the audience into it,
Mhm.
and that what I really liked that they did this time, and maybe I just don't remember those moments happening more often, but when, if with Scotty and then the other 2 would come in the middle and
Yeah.
all 4 of them did a lot of songs together, I felt like more than I was used to seeing. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I feel like it was more, and you
Because they're
also
all
saw
great.
them. Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, and you saw them kinda, like, filling in for one of another here and there too, but I do recall, like, every time they would switch shifts, because like, every hour they
yeah,
flip-flop, and, so I remember there being, like, 1 song in between for the 4 of them as they switch over, but yeah, I feel like they definitely did more of that, but yeah, to your point, they were all amazing, and
yeah,
we were saying that too, that I'm not sure how long it took post da, 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 post
yeah.
2020 to kind of like get back in the groove. But to me, those 4 guys were like,
Mhm.
this has to be it, like
Peak
all the
Dillo.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no, and not all the players I've ever seen
Yes.
what I'm never ever gonna do that in my life. Just it would the chemistry, I think,
Yes.
was it was extra, it felt
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
It was just an energy it's just an energy thing in general.
Yeah. And there have definitely been, pairings over the years. Like, I've never been there and been like, this guy's not good. Never. So,
I never
like, everyone
never
I've ever seen has been amazing. But there have been, certain guys or certain pairings over the years where I'm like, oh, yes, these two are together.
Yes,
Fantastic. And you would sometimes see
yes.
them and sometimes not, or whatever it was. But yeah. And Val was saying there was never a break. It was so cool. Yep. They just keep, which is also just insanity for them. We felt how hot it was sitting in
Mhm,
front of the stage for
mhm.
2 minutes, and
Mhm.
I'm like, "These guys are up here playing like Hamilton writing," and it's, like, nuts how they can do it all night long.
The and you're always gonna get, like, the comedy songs,
Mhm.
but, and I say comedy songs, but, you know, and go to dueling pianos, you gonna get SpongeBob SquarePants? You might, because someone might request it, and it's
Yeah.
always awesome and hilarious and
Yeah.
everything else. Now, I talked about at the beginning that, Bohemian Rhapsody into A Day in the Life was
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
my pull in.
Yes.
So someone requests Bohemian Rhapsody, but prior to Bohemian Rhapsody, they're doing the Wiggles fruit
Mhm.
salad, which I was not familiar with, and I don't know if you were familiar with the Wiggles fruit salad.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I no,
yeah,
not that one.
yeah.
No. Yeah.
So, of course, Bohemian Rhapsody, and I'm just, like, excited that they're doing Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm like, "This is it. This is the bookend
Yeah.
of my first time and my last time at
Yeah.
Jellyrolls, getting Bohemian Rhapsody." And so then it goes into the piano, and, me nostalgic for, "Oh, man, wouldn't it be cool if A Day in the Life, like, for whatever, how would that even
Uh-huh.
happen?" But instead, you get fruit salad, just as good. I don't know.
Just as good. Equals. It equaled out.
Equal. Beatles, Staying Alive, Wiggles fruit salad. But
Yeah.
again, like, I love those transitions.
Mhm.
And what we didn't expect was then at midnight, we're not thinking it's St. Patrick's Day at the stroke of midnight. So then it's next level. You got cast members, you got spring break, you got conference people, you got St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
And maybe there was a leprechaun dancing who responded to a TikTok of yours. We're not sure.
It's fine. I found the leprechaun.
You found it. You officially found the leprechaun.
1,000%. And that is the power of TikTok, everybody. That's what that is. And it didn't take long.
What is the song? I don't know the song, and maybe, everyone here can look it up. The tree and the bough and
Uh,
the branch and
I
the
have watched that and I have showed the kids that one so many times because 'cause I'm like, "Look at him." Who is Wyatt,
yeah,
who was, like, really playing. Scotty was with him, and I don't know, but it was like, "The bird on the nest and the nest on the branch and the
egg and
branch on the tree and the whole" and whatever. I know versions of that song, like, I know that, "And the green grass grows all around, and the green grass," but
Now
it's a
when
different.
I showed the nine-year-old,
Yeah.
and I showed her the day after St. Patrick's Day, and she said, "Oh, they played that in my music class
What
yesterday." So it's clearly an Irish song that I'm not aware of.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because I know that I've definitely heard versions of it, just not that one, and, of course, then they added to it because it was St. Patrick's Day, so
Yeah.
but Wyatt? Oh my god. How he was playing, how fast he was playing, how fast he was able to sing it all, and, like, I my god, I don't know how he did that, and
Yeah.
I'm, like, amazed anytime I watch it. It was so good. Yeah.
The, and that's the other thing. The after midnight sets, you're gonna get a little extra.
Yeah.
And that was where our old people nature was kicking in, where it's like 11, and I was in Port St. Lucie for Mets baseball with Theme Park Rob 11 hours earlier,
Yeah.
and I'm going, I gotta make it to Scotty's midnight
Yeah.
set. I gotta do it.
Yeah.
And and then not realizing again St. Patrick's Day, but then that midnight set, it just takes an extra
Yeah.
jump. The four of them did. We don't talk about Bruno, which
Yes.
I thought was really, really
Uh-huh.
awesome.
Yeah.
So again, getting kind of that Disney mix, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of if there was any other particular song I wanted to focus on. Is there anything, Jen, that comes to mind
Yeah,
for
the
you?
tree and the bit and that was
Yeah.
definitely one. Dancing Through Your Life was definitely one. Um, I mean, I'll have to go back because, like, I don't wanna sit there the whole time holding up my phone for videos, right? And so
Mhm.
some videos I took, I have like bits and pieces of songs. Some I have the whole song. I just want to like sit there and enjoy it, but I also then want to be able to go back and watch it
Yeah.
because I loved it all. So I'll really have to like go through and see. I am definitely gonna make a playlist on YouTube of anything I do have and just create a whole Jelly Rolls
Yeah.
playlist because I probably have videos too from past times that I need to
Right.
dig up and put up there. Um, we did get to see and talk to Scotty for a few minutes. He did come over to say hi and all of that. And to your point about being in Port St. Lucie, he was like, I got up at what 4:50 that morning
Yeah.
to probably because Scotty was like, oh, how long you in town? I'm like, nope, this is it, Scotty. We're here
Yeah, we're
for
here for
Jelly
you. And he was
Rolls,
like,
and that's
"What?"
it. Yeah. But yeah, I'm trying to think what Val or Theme Park Rob or Lewis, was there anything you heard that you loved? Yeah, so Val is saying "And the Green Grass Grows All Around" is a traditional Appalachian folk
Oh,
song. See, and I know that, but they like it was a twist on that. So I'm not sure if it was their own twist or was it just another version of that song. I'm not sure. Um, and Jeffers, I know that you were there a few months ago. Do you recall hearing any songs? I was telling Jeffers he should make a request through us and we'll put like Canada requests if you wanted while we were there. And Val was also mentioning all the extra things too, like tambourines, sound effects. I think I saw kazoos.
oh yeah, the
You had
kazoo. Yeah.
the accordion at one
Oh yeah.
point. My
Yeah.
God, it
Michael had
was
the kazoo and the accordion
yes,
and yeah.
yeah, nuts. Val is saying everything. Yeah, it was all I mean, once they did the da 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 da, I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're good. We're
Yeah.
all set here. Yeah.
Yeah. It very much felt like a fully rounded, like told the whole story,
Yeah.
summarized the whole 29 years of going, 28, 29 years.
Yeah.
And that, and even to be there for the cast member night for me,
Yeah.
like, right, there was a little bit of me going, all right, don't pay attention to it that much to the Disney princesses, okay? But like, don't be that guy. But
Uh-huh.
also, there was just a part of me that was pulled back to that
Yeah.
time as a cast member when
Yeah.
I was also there with Disney
Yeah.
princesses who snuck out of the parks at
Yeah.
night. And
Yeah.
that uh so that felt really special. And like for me as a cast member, you as operating participant and
Yeah.
going for events and like you
Right.
going in different
Yeah.
parts of your life,
Yeah.
again from 21, like and just going through stages of it really.
Yeah.
Uh that night on March 16th into the 17th, it just really put a lovely button on
Oh, yeah.
that chapter for us.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Um, I will say if I can go back because I'm going to continue on that, but can I just discuss Sweet Caroline for a
Mm.
second? Now, Sweet Caroline, da da da. Great. There was a part, right, that used to happen, and I believe we got this from Jelly Rolls. When it was played at my wedding, Mama Dillo sang it in this way,
Yeah.
and that is Sweet Caroline, this song sucks.
Mhm.
Good times never. But
Yep.
did
That's
wasn't
the
that
thing.
a thing at Jelly
Yeah.
Rolls? They didn't do it that night. I'm like, these
Yeah.
kids are too young. They don't know that this song sucks. What's going on?
And listen, again, especially for you, right? I don't know. I feel like I did it when I was a kid,
Uh-huh.
young adult.
Uh,
But your time, right?
yeah.
That Sweet Caroline is such a Boston Red Sox song. So there's
Oh,
you're in the time of the Yankees Red Sox rivalry where that was
mm,
really like kicked up a notch of Sweet
yeah,
Caroline. This song sucks, and
that's true.
that
Fever
that is
pitch.
what you remember. I
Yeah.
mean. I remember this song sucks. Good times never seem so good. And you go,
Uh-huh.
so good,
Yes.
so good. And because I'm a child of the 90s, you go, you mother. And
Oh,
we would say
interesting.
that
Yeah, that's
back in the
interesting.
day.
But these kids today, they don't know. You're supposed to change it up a little bit. It's funny as I was talking about that, I didn't realize Lewis wrote Sweet Caroline was pretty fun.
Mm.
Um, Jeffers was mentioning Friends in Low Places, another Jelly Rolls classic. I mean, I think that Mama Dillo probably that's her favorite when going to Jelly Rolls.
Yeah. It's nothing
Yeah,
better than going, I'm not big on social grace. Like just social graces and
yeah,
taking your voice down just enough.
yeah,
It's one of my
yeah.
favorite things.
Um, but to your point, like I now I was trying to get to a place of less anger and acceptance before going. And then I went and I was so happy that we went again and had this one last time. And to your point, put the nice button. Now I'm like, what do you mean it's closing? Like I'm upset again.
Yeah.
Like mad about it. And like it was like just thinking about again the last 20 plus years for me being there in these different stages of my life and seeing youngins there and seeing like a mom bring her 21-year-old son there
Mhm,
for the first time. I was there with my parents for the first time when I was 21,
mhm.
being like, oh man, we don't get to bring the 10, 9, and 8-year-old here. Like, what
Yeah.
do you mean? That stinks. Like, they would have the
Oh my
time of
God.
their lives there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
100%.
they would have loved it. But I love how Jelly Rolls has always just been able to cover the various stages of life, the various generations of people, get everyone singing. It was always like this joyful, happy place, a place where you could like, you know, it's very like piano man but you like forget about life for a while and you just like hang out there and be in it and be in this environment where everyone's just in it together. It's a very, shared experience.
Mhm.
And it's hard to picture like Jelly Rolls not being there in the future. It's
Right.
very weird. And it makes me very sad that it's going away. And I'm not, oh my
Yeah.
God.
Walking out,
Ugh,
right, and onto the boardwalk with Spaceship Earth and
ugh,
and the lights and
yeah.
it is. I'm not saying that an experience indoors can't
Yeah.
happen anywhere else.
Yeah.
It is the walk in and the walk out that really, you know, is part of your Disney vacation and part of our Orlando living.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm excited for whatever happens next
Yeah.
for Scotty for the
Yeah.
if all four of those guys stick together.
Right. End up
Yeah,
somewhere like,
oh yeah,
yeah, like let
please.
us know.
That is this portion of it is hard.
Yeah. 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 It's weird. And I would we probably gotta get Scotty back on. We had him
And
on in 2020. We had him and his brothers on, and we were
yeah,
joking about that when we saw him, that none of us could hear each other. The connection was just
it was just
there were
so bad.
storms, and it was
Yeah.
just bad. So we probably just have to have a reunion overall, but I would love to know for him because we often talk about, like, our walks out of the park when we worked there and
Yeah.
like that perspective as a cast member when you're leaving or you're getting there really early or whatever it is. And like for Scotty, I would love to know because I know how I feel like as a guest leaving Jelly Rolls to the nighttime boardwalk with
Mhm.
Spaceship Earth in the distance,
Mhm.
like everything lit up so nice. Like that's how you left work every night.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a little bit of a difference because it is work, but it's also been over 20 years, so there was probably something pretty good about it. Like, I would love to know, like, his perspective of, like, that's your view at the end of every night,
Mhm.
and that has to probably stay. I mean, look at what stays with us from our time working
No,
there,
I
so
posted the other day on the X Twitter there. Well, now it's last month, but I suddenly became angry at the idea of I used to. I'm not. I shouldn't say this out loud, but we had Rich Criato on right with the
Mhm,
Magic Band and that technology and how you
mhm,
used to scan your uniforms. I
yeah,
got tired of scanning my stuff, and at the end of the night, especially when I had a washer dryer in my home.
yeah,
So I would stash all my stuff in my backpack, and I would just walk out of the park like I was a guest.
yeah, mhm.
And, I'm here to admit that
They're
27 years.
coming for you.
So, I would just wash my clothes at home.
Yeah,
So, every night, I would pack up my backpack if everything else had been properly delivered and
yeah,
accounted for, and, most of the time, I was walking out from Muppet's Courtyard
mhm,
and through the park that way. So
yeah,
Muppet's Courtyard at night is very big for me, but, like, the idea of remember that archway that used to be like if you're facing the Muppets and you look to the right and there was like an archway onto
Yeah.
New York Street
Yeah.
from there, and then the Osborne lights, or
Yeah.
look left and there's the Osborne lights,
Yeah.
and then you could walk out. Like that was my life.
Yeah.
Where early Osborne light, I would end my shift, walk through the Muppets courtyard at night, pass through that arch, see the Osborne lights all lit up in the distance, and then walk out down Hollywood Boulevard and out of the park. Come
Yeah.
on.
I
What
know.
is life? What was life?
I do think, a little while back, about a month or 2, 3, what is time ago, we had our new friend, Dr. Matt, on to discuss Pixar and emotions. He may need to come back. I think it's getting to be all too much for us. We did the Dillo must-dos
Oh, yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
Eh, those things are just going away.
There's going to be 3 must-dos.
It's ridiculous.
2
And
of the
so,
5 will be gone by on Disney property by June.
man, it's, we joke about how nostalgic we are, kinda, but we are so the core of us is so deeply nostalgic that things like Muppet Vision, that things like Jellyrolls, that these pieces that were such a massive part of our lives for so long going away is like, it's honestly not easy to accept. It's not just like, oh, well, that, listen, I still miss fireworks, but like, oh, we're changing the fireworks show, we're changing a
Yeah.
parade. Yes, obviously those things affect me. Again, you still hear me talking about wishes 8 years later, but things like this, that like, this has been our entire lives,
Yeah.
have been walking past Jellyrolls. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So, what we were thinking on the back end of this podcast was that we would share a portion of our 2020 interview with Scotty. That is a bit of a throwback Thursday on this theme park Thursday. So we will share some of that audio when the podcast drops. But for now, in 2 days' time, Jellyrolls on the Boardwalk. It's an official farewell on the Boardwalk. Thanks for the memories. Thanks for making our times at Disney a little extra special and fully rounded.
Yeah.
And shared experiences. As you said, I'm surprised I didn't say that for the past hour over and over again. So thanks for saying it.
Yeah.
But until next time, she's Jen and I'm Frank. Bye-bye.
Deuces. Sad deuces.
Sad deuces, sad deuces. Nostalgic sad deuces.
It is a blast. I like the interaction. The interaction is that's what makes it different than any other thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Being able to interact, and when people want to get up on stage and celebrate their anniversary or their birthday or just anything, it's fun to have a whole room of strangers all together, like doing the same thing and just having fun. So
and people meet that way, and you're kind of cheering each other on, or you're wishing happy birthdays or whatever it is. You get to know some other people. It's so cool.
Absolutely. I've seen so many people become friends. People that if I could tell another story, people that would come to Disney World and do the princess run. And so they would always come to Jellyrolls afterwards. And so like year after year, like they started seeing each other, and then I started seeing them sitting at the table together. And it's like, this is the coolest thing. Like, and they met at Jellyrolls. Like that. I think that's a wonderful thing, and it's so great. And there's so many stories like that of people that became friends because they wanted to sit in the front, and there was a table that had 2 empty chairs, and they just reached out, and those 4 people become friends. Yeah. There's tons of stories like that. I love that stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, and Disney performers, I don't know. I feel like it's so unique to Disney performers for them to have that recognition of people in the audience too, and able to see the repeat guests and see whether they're growing up or, adding family or whatever it is over the years. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think that's also a bit of the Disney magic, is the ability to like pick that up on any day of the week, that who came back.
Yeah.
and you might think that that's kind of manufactured by Disney, but it's absolutely organic. And especially having been there for 18 years, and I really get to see the same people over and over again. It really is a great thing. It's I think the longer you're a cast member, the more you get to have that chance to make those connections year after year.
The Dillo's Diz podcast is hosted by Frank Cardillo and Jen Cardillo-Snyder. Music produced by Matt Harvey. Logos and video production courtesy of Snidillo Studios. Dillo's Diz Resort is our Patreon with tiers starting as low as $1 per month. You can visit dillosdizresort.com to learn more. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, X Twitter, and Facebook at Dillo's Diz. Check us out on YouTube by visiting youtube.com/DillosDiz. Don't forget to like and subscribe while you're there. We also have merch available on TeePublic and Etsy. For all this and more, visit our one-stop shop, dillosdiz.com. Dillo's Diz Podcast 2025.